Okay, so after farming Archtempered Rey Dau for a little bit tonight, we were able to craft the entire set, and I wanted to chat with y'all about what shows up with the equipment skills as well as the deco slots, why it's actually surprisingly good, even though it might not look like it at first glance, and, some later term options as more and more Archtempered monsters show up. So, let's get into it real quick here. Looking at the individual slots, we have the head. Get a 3-piece deco slot along with 1 point each of Wex, Max Might, and Stamina Surge. Now, Wex and Max Might are 3 slots on their own, so we already have effectively 3 slots, and Stamina Surge is an extra freebie. Moving on to the chest. We have 3 points of latent power, which, again, at first glance is like, sure, whatever. This was on the basic one. What gives? And we have 1 slot. But run with me for a second. Up next, we have the arms, which comes with 2 3 slots and 2 points of evade extender. So looking at that, that's effectively 2 3 slots and 2 2 slots. Evade extender isn't really a thing that I'd normally go for, but a little bit further on your hops, it's always nice. Whether that's to get out of the way of something that's going to turn you into paste, or get you just a little bit closer to the monster. Personally, I'd prefer earplugs, but can't have everything, now can we? Moving on to the waist. We have the other 2 points of latent power, so just between the waist and chest you max that out, and the other 2 points of maximum might. So again, between the head and the waist here, you've maxed out max might, as well as latent power, and you've still got 1 point of Wex to work with. As for the legs, we've got a 3-piece, 3 points of stun resist, which, it's hard to get excited about, but I'm not going to complain. And the other 2 points of Stamina Surge. So realistically here, where things start to get really spicy though, is when we look at the bonus skills, as well as the set bonus. So if we pull that up here, the 4-piece of Thunderous Roar, so Thunderous Roar 2, extends the activation time of latent power. Now at base, latent power is 2 minutes. If you have Thunderous Roar 2, that takes you all the way up to 3.5 minutes, I believe. Conversely, if you only have Thunderous Roar 1, that takes you to 2.5 minutes. Again, that isn't exactly world-altering, but when you stack it with some of the other things, you can do some pretty nifty stuff with your stats. As for the other one, we have Guts, or the Lord's Soul set. So the way this works is it boosts your attack and lowers defense, but gives you a cheat death, basically. So depending upon the rounding of the combination of armor and weapons that you're using, you're getting between 4.5% and 5% boost to your attack, and between a 4.5% and 5% reduction to your defense. Now afterwards, after carting the first time, that instead boosts your defense by 5% and your elemental resist by 3%, I think it is. What I suspect is going to happen is that this Lord's Soul bonus is going to be unique to all of the Archtempered armor sets. So there might be some pretty cool options to mix and match as the game progresses. For the sake of our purposes here, this is going to stack our raw pretty significantly here. So let's move on to what I think might be kind of the go-to alternate set. Gotta go to the right set. Here we go. So if we look at this, in fact, let me just go ahead and pull the decos off my weapons here so you can just see what you get with the armor itself. What we've done is we've kept the Rey helm, chest, and waist, and swapped out for the gore, gloves, and legs, and added the exploiter charm. So if we then add a chain jewel for 1 point of burst. If you're playing solo, I like taking a point of divine blessing, just because 15% less damage, well, I can save you from a cart. If you're playing multiplayer, swap this out for shockproof, so you don't have teammates that want to strangle you in your sleep. Thank me later. The gloves, we're putting in 2 points of counter-strike. And the boots, this is pretty standard gore boots. You've got Tennerizer and 2 points of Sane for the antivirus. So if we look at what that brings everything up to, that gives us maximum latent power, 4 points of Wex, 3 points of max might, Max antivirus, 2 points of counterstrike, constitution, evade window, 1 point of burst, 1 point of divine blessing, 1 point of stamina surge, 1 point of flinch free. This is pretty nice, provided you don't need or prefer the comfier sets that I've posted on the channel before. But if we look at our total bonuses here, before taking into account any stats that might show up on your weapons, we've got 20% increased affinity from Wex, 30% increased affinity from Max Might, bringing us to 50, and finally, while latent power is active, an additional 50%, bringing us to 100. And that's nice. On top of that, we also have a reduction of our stamina depletion by 50%, just for a little bit of extra quality of life to keep Max Might topped off. Or, for the dual blades or bow people, congratulations, you use less stamina. From here, go ahead and use whichever mantle you prefer. If you wanted to be really cheeky and activate latent power even faster, you could go with the Corrupted Mantle and take some self-damage. Outside of that, not really necessary. From here, I'm going to go ahead and put up a hunt against everybody's favorite punching bag, a reasonably starred Chotacabra, just so you can see the kind of damage that this can pump out. If I hadn't actually gotten hit and didn't miss a few times, that most certainly would have been a sub-2 kill. I think as our gear continues to grow and just power creep over time, the Lord's Set bonus that gives you that flat percentage buff to your attack stats is gonna be pretty significant. So if we look over here on our right side, you see our base attack is at 225. In the hunts, when all of the buffs are rolling, that goes up to 269 or 265. I don't remember off the top of my head. 260 something, and that's a pretty significant increase. This is a little bit more casual than normal, but I wanted to get this out to you as quickly as reasonably possible after a little bit of testing. So, have fun. Enjoy watching the punching bag. I've been Bald Squid. I'll see you next time.